So that's one of the many things that we're super focused on. Also because everyone has been very apparent that crypto has been mostly focused on trading and speculation use cases to date. But it's not meant to be that over the long term, because the way that we as humans use money is partially about trading and speculation, but it's really also about the transactional economy, goods and services. It's just that we haven't been able to actually have that activity at scale on chain until you have something like Solana that can actually support that experience.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Conversations with Leaders, the podcast where we dive into the ideas and strategy shaping the future of finance and technology. I'm your host Sam North, and today we've got a great episode to kick off the new year. Joining me today is Lily Liu, the Solana Foundation president, and Yoni Assia, the co-founder and CEO of eToro. It's great to have you both with us. Now Yoni, we were talking a little bit before. You and Lily have met before, right?
We've met several times, always in great occasions and across the globe. So I think first time LA 4 years ago, then again in the Abu Dhabi when we had the Bitcoin Middle East conference just very recently, and just met together last week at the DC Crypto Bowl, watching together Snoop Dogg on stage.
Lily, that must have been some kind of experience watching Snoop Dogg.
You know, that was it was an incredible event, and it was just also so unlikely that that event ever would have happened. That event was, let's see, it was a little bit like homecoming meets family reunion meets crypto conference. It's also the first time I've seen that many people from crypto looking good and dressed up to the nines. It was great.
Amazing. And of course, later that evening, something pretty remarkable happened in the world of crypto, didn't it, Yoni? I mean, did it take you by surprise, Trump coin yourself?
Myself, definitely by surprise. I think it was like only after the last show, I saw people like talking about this Trump coin. People were still like surprised that actually happened. A lot of people like didn't believe, thought that, it's very odd. And then as the night continued, people realized this is a significant event for crypto. And I'm surprised nobody told me it's happening.
Yeah, could have done with heads up.
Pretty much everyone in that room, no one in that room knew it was happening, including myself.
Incredible. Well executed. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go on. But Lily, I guess to set the scene for someone new listening to the world of crypto, how would you explain what Solana is and how it stands out?
Sure. Solana is a blockchain. Idea came about in 2017, 2018. Like a lot of the blockchains that were birthed after Ethereum came to prominence, Solana was one blockchain of many during that time that thought, okay, well, if we architect things a little bit differently, maybe you can build a more scalable blockchain. And that's going to be important because if we think this technology is important to billions of people, then it's probably got to be as high capacity, as performant, as accessible as the internet that, the internet, which we're using right now. And so Solana approached it with a bit of a different perspective, different architecture, and thought instead of assuming we're going to have to start building either shards or L2s or network extensions, we have different names for them in different parts of the industry. Instead, why don't we try to keep everything on one shard, on one mainnet? And the idea being that, if crypto is fundamentally about financial applications, which I believe it is, it's about financialization of new assets, of new experiences, then financial markets always work better when you have everything in one place, right? When you have unified liquidity. And so how do you provide an architecture that really supports that as a first order requirement of these kind of internet capital markets?
Thank you, Lily. And when people talk about proof of history, well, what is this? Why does it matter for those that have never heard of it and want to know a little bit more?
Yeah, so proof of history, it's one of multiple things that Solana came up with in the early days to be able to allow parallel execution of transactions, right? And so one of the critiques was, well, if you have a very sequential, if you have an architecture that is based on sequential processing of transactions, well, one pipe is, with a one lane freeway is only going to be able to have so much capacity. You can only scale that so much. Whereas if you have proof of history, then it's something where you can enable parallel processing of transactions and essentially sort of take a highway, open it up, and have 5 lanes, 6 lanes, or in this case, many thousands of lanes instead of just one. So that's effectively sort of what proof of history did. And one of the ways that it does that is, so you've probably heard of SHA-256 before. That's the hash function which underlies Bitcoin. In this case, it's actually used a bit as like a machine clock. And so that way, if multiple machines are doing things at the same time, they can sort of synchronize one another based on the SHA-256 hashes. So that way you kind of have like a unified clock without all being in the same instance.
Yeah, thank you. And Yoni, moving on to you, we mentioned at the beginning you were with Lily just recently watching Snoop Dogg. My invitation must have got lost in the post there, but you understand this world very good. So I'd like to know what you think at the moment about Solana and what our listeners need to know about it. Of course, it's very popular on eToro as well at the moment.
So it is very popular eToro. It's number 5 a market cap coin, right? Number 4 if you exclude USDT. And I have to say, I'm opening my eyes more and more this year to Solana as part of the money challenge we did with Nusair. He told me I should have a more significant stake in Solana versus my original crypto conservative view is Bitcoin is king and Ethereum is queen. And he told me that the queen might gonna get replaced by Solana. I'm always open-minded. You can call me like I started at Bitcoin maximalism, then meeting Vitalik at the early days of colored coins, sort of became a Bitcoin and Ethereum maximalist. And I think I'm changing now, like opening my eyes to the opportunities. Would love to hear, Lily, what are the benefits when you compare Solana to ETH? And if I'm thinking of like transactions per second, how many seconds between blocks, how would you compare Solana and ETH, just for those who sort of love the concept of smart contracts? And then what are the utilities? Obviously, Solana is very popular, I know, in both gaming right now and in meme coins, of course. What's leading that ecosystem to be livelier or the best right now on Solana versus ETH?
Yeah. Well, Solana TPS is something around 3,000, and it's going to get a lot faster as well. So we've part of the original idea behind Solana is that, well, as hardware improves, the network should be able to get faster. And you'll remember from the early Bitcoin days that this presumption, the underlying technology would constantly be changing, is just not something that happened in Bitcoin, right? Because that is not necessary. It's not necessary. In fact, it may actually be unhelpful for the core use case of Bitcoin, which is store value and sound money. But for everyone else is not going to be store value and sound money because there's really only a position for one in that category, and that's Bitcoin. So everyone else is building a technology platform and is building global financial infrastructure for this idea that we can have one unified set of financial rails that everyone in the world that's on the internet can use. That's kind of been the dream of blockchain from the very beginning, and Bitcoin kind of presented multiple different visions for what this technology could do, and one of them was sound money, and there's many other things that Ethereum then articulated much more fully, right? So we're kind of in that category. Let's build a technology platform that can function as global financial infrastructure. And if that's the case, well, it's got to be performant. It's got to be competitive in terms of performance with the financial systems we have today. And it's also got to be able to offer new functionality. You've got to be able to do new things with your money that you can't do in the existing financial world. And so on the first, well, Solana is much more performant than anything else that you have out there. And it turns out that the things that people want to do right now, here in 24 and 25 are meme coins. It's just kind of what people are interested in at the moment.
Mm.
And the best place to do that is where you can have the best experience. And so that's why, people think that Solana is a meme chain right now, but since I've been involved about 4 years ago, first everyone thought Solana was a DeFi chain. Then everyone thought Solana was an NFT chain. And then everyone thought Solana was the gaming chain. And then the DePIN chain. And then now the stablecoin chain and the payments chain, and in addition to the meme coin chain. So when I put all of that together, it's just general purpose infrastructure, which is what it's meant to be.
So
Thank
when
you.
you say 1,000 TPS, does that mean like is there a concept of like a block every X seconds, or is this like when I do a transaction, like people's transaction actually gets settled to the 3,000 TPS per second rate?
It's about 400 milliseconds
Got it. Okay, so it's much shorter.
for finality. Yeah, it's
For
like blink of an
finality.
eye. Yeah. And it basically feels like using the regular internet. So on the regular internet, you click a button and then that thing happens. And that's how Solana feels.
Fantastic. And actually, just while you were talking, I thought it'd be quite interesting just for those that are watching this on YouTube or watching it on X. Let us know your thoughts as well. What do you think? I suppose people will be pretty happy to hear Yoni is coming round to the idea. For those that don't know, Yoni bought Bitcoin at $3. Go check his pinned tweet. It's probably the most amazing tweet of all time. To check it out. Lily, let's talk a little bit about Wi-Fi roam technology. I don't know if many people would have heard of this. So why is it important? A great innovation, of course, but why is it important, and how does it enhance the connectivity for users, and what is the goal behind developing all of that?
Yeah, so there's quite a number of these DePIN applications that are being built. I think starting around the middle of 2023 is when DePIN started to really come alive, I think, in our entire industry. And then a lot of that activity really started here on Solana. And so Helium.
For our users, what's DePIN?
Oh, DePIN. DePIN is Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. So DE and then PIN is being the acronym. And this, like everything else, I think in crypto, actually the idea for it has been around for quite a while. The idea that you would have this, you could have this network of nodes, so anyone could join a network and bring, a node, be that a camera, be that a Wi-Fi hotspot or something like that. And by contributing to the network, then you would be able to earn tokens from your contributions to the network. And together, if you have enough people that have these Wi-Fi hotspots, then you can actually build a new cellular network. And that's basically what Helium is doing. Or with Hivemapper, if you have enough people with these several $100 dashboard cameras, then together you could map Google Maps again, but not have Google do it, where we've probably all seen those cars driving around, those kind of funny looking cars with the 100 cameras on the roof. So instead of doing that, then, it'd be community based, and almost anyone could buy that camera and even earn from their contributions from video footage, driving, or whatever it might be, to the creation of these global maps, right? But more importantly, because there's there's more people, resource, and potential attention in this everywhere in the world, you could actually map things better and faster, and in corners of the world where Google's cars potentially aren't going or can't go. So that's the potential of decentralized physical infrastructure networks. The first example of that that's really scaled is Helium around Wi-Fi hotspots, and then eventually using that to even build a commercial cellular network. So I believe right now they have Helium. Helium is a mobile service in the US and costs about $20 a month. And with that, about 20% of the bandwidth on Helium right now is actually provided by the community, and that's pretty cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
And it's trading on eToro, Sam.
Yes,
It is
yes,
trading
it
on
is.
eToro. That's right. And the people who are contributing that bandwidth are actually earning from that.
Yeah, as they are. On the innovation side of things, I think people love to know that these crypto projects have utility, that they have something going on. Is there anything sort of in the future that you're really excited about from Solana that's being developed? Is there any sort of pipe dream stuff that you think once we get this, wow, we are next level?
Yeah. I think that it's pretty much the title of the Bitcoin white paper says peer-to-peer electronic cash system. So Yoni, I don't know what got you into crypto. I got into crypto in 2013 when I heard about Bitcoin and I kind of dismissed it the first couple of times. I read the white paper and I thought this is going to be incredible, right? And what really animated my interest in it was not just kind of digital gold and sound money and this idea that you would have state-free money, but also this idea that you would have one financial infrastructure everyone could use, and assets that would be accessible to everyone. This whole idea that if you have an internet connection, you have a bank account. And so that back then, still now, is an animating vision, and it's really about, peer-to-peer electronic cash is another way you could maybe frame that as payments. And I think that's something that Solana's going to really excel in, because Solana has the performance to actually support a payments network. So that's one of the many things that we're super focused on. Also because everyone has been very apparent that crypto has been mostly focused on trading and speculation use cases to date. But it's not meant to be that over the long term, because the way that we as humans use money is partially about trading and speculation, but it's really also about the transactional economy, goods and services. It's just that we haven't been able to actually have that activity at scale on chain until you have something like Solana that can actually support that experience. So fast and cheap and constant is something you have to have in order to have competitive payments. And now we can actually deliver that. Plus, you have to have enough stable coins. So, so there's a currency that people are familiar with and used to using and actually really do denominate our everyday economy. So in a word, payments. It seems boring, but to me, it's super exciting because it's the basis of most of our economy, really.
Boring can be good, absolutely.
Make
Yoni,
boring exciting again.
yes, sold. Yoni, a couple of questions for you. I actually want to know if there was a single reason why you got into crypto, and then also if we fast forward to the present day, we've had an incredible couple of weeks really in the markets, or a couple of months if we go back to Trump winning the election and then the inauguration. What use cases right now in the crypto world do excite you? What most interests you? But then the first question, as I said, what really got you into this world?
Well, so we started eToro in 2007, and then we went into the global financial crisis. And I saw something that sort of really surprised me as a sort of computer scientist, which is I saw how the bank sort of unplugged the currency system, right? So you didn't have quotes or even the simplest like euro dollars, no quotes, and you were waiting to see whether the next day your bank's gonna open, which was super scary. People were like shifting money between different banks, and I'm like, that's not how it's supposed to work. We need like a better system to actually manage the world's currencies. And then when I saw Bitcoin in 2010, I immediately said like, wow, this is how actually money markets should work. Not only about the Bitcoin as digital gold, but I was excited about the technology itself of the infrastructure of here's a system which works 24/7. Everybody in the world can open an account, can transfer their assets, and it will always work. It's unstoppable. That's the most exciting thing for me about Bitcoin. And that's why very early on we went into the concept of tokenization, because we realized we need eventually to have dollars and euros and pounds and gold on this chain as well, which eventually led to Vitalik also going and building Ethereum. So tokenization is definitely a very exciting world for us. And specifically, I think on top of tokenization, I'll split it into two, which is why I'm getting very excited, by the way, around Solana, frankly, is actually tokenization of, let's call them non-real assets, which started, just as you said, like I remember NFT craze on Solana. I had some of that. Then gaming on Solana. Then Deepin is already real world physical. And now Lily is talking about like payments, which is, stable coins are not even like stable coins, but actual currencies. And I think that combination around smart contracts, tokenization of both new digital assets, but eventually also potentially securities, real assets like real currencies. I think that's super interesting and still missing. It's been a long ride in blockchain digital asset space, but definitely we are at an exciting time right now when it seems everything's at the right direction.
Yeah, it does feel like that. And actually, just while you were talking, I went onto your Twitter just to make sure I got the tweet correct. It was $2.50, not $3. So my bad.
Well
But
done.
still, an exciting time there. And listening to you both, it's incredible how obviously early you both were in this world, but you could see the potential. And I guess the next question, Lily, is about how you see the future from now. And we've had obviously an interesting few years, going back to Yoni's tweet, 14 years. But with the new administration in the US, how do you see that affecting the sort of crypto adoption? And what role do you expect Solana to play in this ever evolving landscape?
I think finally we have an administration that is willing to embrace technology, is willing to wants to actually have a leadership position in technology, and is not just open-minded but even enthusiastic about being at the forefront of these innovations. Right, the U.S. has been at the forefront of basically every other technological innovation in our lifetimes, even before our lifetimes. And really the last administration was just frankly hostile towards crypto,
Yeah.
right? It was politically, programmatically hostile, debanking individuals, debanking our companies, perfectly legitimate innovators, fully compliant companies, protocols, and it was just a war on crypto, right? Just purely ideologically and politically based. And as an industry, we're not looking for favoritism. We're not looking for handouts or anything. We just don't want to be attacked, right? And just want to have an opportunity to be innovators and actually do that in my opinion, still the best country for talent and capital, and that still is the United States. So in our industry, we've kind of had this United States shape hole in the industry for the last 4 years. And now, as of just a few days ago, that's no longer the case. So I am super excited about what we can actually do. But there's still going to be a lot to be figured out because we essentially have not had we have not had a lot of good faith effort to actually develop legislation and rules for the industry because the approach has just been to not provide any clarity and then sue people. So we actually have a lot of catch up in this industry to do to start to clarify the rules because there should be rules and regulations around crypto. So it's going to take some time to do that. But I think generally, there's a ton of interest and excitement about kind of bring crypto back to America. So
Yeah, it feels positive. Things are heading in the right direction, but you can't sit still. You've got to keep pushing on, right? And Yoni, would you say that's the same over here in Europe and other parts of the world? Sentiment wise, you pretty bullish on things?
Well, first of all, I think we are just entering into MiCA in Europe, which is quite a comprehensive framework for regulating crypto assets. And again, one of the biggest gaps in the ability to really adopt blockchain, whether it's Solana or others, was that gap that traditional financial services companies just couldn't really interact. You couldn't connect banks into stable coins. So, everything of the fiat on rails to real transactions was missing. I think now with MiCA in Europe, we're actually talking to a lot of real, like large, old financial institutions who want to issue bonds and stable coins and support the entire ecosystem and understand how they can sort of think of this new paradigm in technology for their own system. So that's a very big leap. UK, I think, has been always positive towards crypto, but definitely the wind of change. This is the most, amazing sort of change in direction that we see in the US, which is a very positive administration towards crypto. We have a crypto czar now, David Sachs. You have a new CFTC and SEC administration, which are positive towards crypto and towards innovation. And I think everybody's extremely positive that the US and therefore all of the entrepreneurs and sort of talent in the US can get into a mode of sort of now building and running and innovating and leading the space. So definitely a very problem. People are saying maybe the golden age for crypto is starting now.
Yeah, it feels like it. Yoni, just a quick question. When Trump had his inauguration speech, and he obviously didn't mention crypto in that initial speech, were you like, no, you should have done it, or were you actually like, you know what, it actually doesn't really matter that he didn't initially say it?
He did something much bigger 2 days before, right? So
Yeah.
I think his statement with Trump coin is like 100 times bigger, if not 200 times or 1,000 times bigger than mentioning it in the speech. This was again from a perspective of capital markets. Capital markets are there for the formation of capital, for people to be able to sort of create and raise money in order to do things. This was the, I think, largest and fastest capital formation in human history, generating what's now maybe somewhere between, I didn't check this morning, so 35 to 45 billion dollar market cap out of thin air, and defined, which defies my logic, but which is why now I'm suddenly like excited to start learning more about this, as a meme coin, right? So it is defined as a meme coin, and regardless has been able to sort of generate that leap. In 2021, I was, initially very concerned about like meme coins. I said,
Mm.
why do we want to add Shiba and Doge? These are not, they don't create real utility. I understand the utility, the perceived utility of blockchains, of XRP, but these started as a joke, and this is a second derivative in a joke. And then when we launched it in May 2021, just before Elon Musk on Saturday Night Live talking about Doge, I was like, okay, I get it. A community coin makes sense if one person in that community eventually becomes the richest person on the planet. So again, I would love to actually talk about meme coins. I was originally very skeptical of meme coins. Then when I saw meme coins who have, significant, let's call them moat, whether it's Elon Musk or whether it's what Shiba did with Vitalik back then, Trump, I get it. What do you think, like, how do you think of meme coins how many meme coins are right now trading on Solana?
Every day there's tens of thousands of meme coins that launch every day.
Tens of thousands of meme
Wow.
coins, right? So how,
Hmm.
which reminds me a bit of 2021 NFTs, right? We had, I still have wallets with like 1,000 NFTs. Um, how do you think like about meme coins? Again, NFTs I thought did have value.
Hmm.
And I bought it, sold some of them. Obviously, I love trading and investing as well. That's what we do in eToro. But unfortunately, a lot of them now are underwater, and I have some pieces of history. How do you think of meme coins? Tell us like your view, because I love the fact you went into DeepIn, which is like a real industry, into payments, which is a real industry. But a lot of the driving force here is the meme coins, which I'm trying to sort of wrap my head around.
Yeah. Well, meme coins, in crypto, we've had all of these Beanie Baby cycles, right? We had NFTs was like a Beanie Baby cycle. The narrative around gaming was the Beanie Baby cycle. When I got into Bitcoin in 2013, it was one of the first big pumps for Bitcoin, where it got up to 1,300 and then fell back down to $150, right? That's these kind of like huge speculative loops are just what happens in crypto. But then the question is, people have a lot of find it to be fun, but then also there's a lot of skepticism around it, because the critique in all of these big speculative cycles, where it kind of goes from something, from nothing to nothing again, is the people that got rugged, dumped on, retail that typically came in at a much higher level, and then insiders profit. Okay, so all of that critique around speculation. So there's a lot of interesting uses of blockchain outside of speculation, but the thing is that a lot of that has not been allowed to happen because it's caught under is that a security? And if it is a security, then it cannot be represented as a token on a blockchain. So, for example, if people were to say, this is actually a pretty frequent construct where people start a DeFi protocol, and then trading fees will be shared with the token holders. And at least in other parts of the world where people do this, but anything that touches U.S. folks will typically be excluded. Will be excluded from that because that's seen as something that's starting to look like a security. So that's something where there's actually real value that is being created and could potentially be shared with token holders. And then there's something more like kind of the deepen construct where you're kind of doing something to try to build a network and potentially being rewarded, incentivized, whatever you want to call it, being earning tokens as a result of that. And these types of things that are very much around mutual value creation are have been considered largely illegal, right? Or at least unclear, and unclear if it is legal, which is bad enough if you're trying to build a real business. So instead, what are people doing? Well, meme coins are worth nothing, right? And they have no meaning. They mean whatever you want it to mean. And because it's completely unrestricted, because there's nothing to restrict, that is one of the things that's just gone wild. In addition to the fact that they are fun, they're funny, they're kind of cultural carriers in the moment. They're kind of like a financialized version of like things that would be trending on X or something, except they're trending in a slightly different way. And that's so it's partially because of what's kind of fun and interesting about it itself. But then it's also because the other things that people might want to do can't do it. So, okay, well, let's go do the thing which has no value, right? But then now it does have value. So, guys,
So
which
it's
one is it?
thing like it's potentially community tokens or coins should have some utility to it, but attaching that utility had so much inherent sort of risk. So people said, but if
Mm-hmm.
there's no utility whatsoever, I'm not attaching anything to it. So it's like a meme coin is basically it's well, maybe it's like meme stocks. It's the rebellion of the
It
people
is.
saying we're allowed to do this, we're allowed to trade this because it doesn't connect to anything and you can't do anything about it. But now when, there's a Trump coin, basically it means, and obviously the new administration, that, maybe 2025 is also the rise of, I think, what a lot of people talked about a lot in the crypto community, which is the community tokens, which were very complex from a regulatory point of view to set up. Rewards to your community. We're probably going to have many celebrities this year launch their token. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
more world leaders launch their token. So I think now sort of it clears the path for the concept of community tokens, which were very hard.
You know what I would like to see? Because there are critiques, and I understand why people have critiques of world leaders launching their own token. But why doesn't the treasury of the country launch their own token?
Mm.
So if there's country coin and it's aligned with the country's treasury, then if that coin goes up, that is actually revenue potentially for the treasury. And so that can align incentives at the country level, whereas I can see why people feel a little bit uncomfortable with world leaders having a personal meme coin. So I think that would be kind of cool, right?
Yeah, I mean, you've both just given me an idea, and I know Yoni are not the biggest football or soccer fan for you, Lily, in the world, but Arsenal, if you're listening to this, create a meme coin, and I will give you all of my money if it means you go and buy us a new striker. We need it. A little bit off topic there, but I mean, why not? Right? It sounds interesting, and hopefully that's the way the world is going to go. Look, we'll wrap it there. It's been a fantastic conversation. Lily, thank you so much for coming on. Yoni, as always, it's great to have you with us. The future looks bright, and I'm excited for it. So, Lily and Yoni, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sam, and thank you very much, Lily. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, guys.